So in Hogwarts Legacy we have 95 Merlin Trials. Give or take, I believe there's 95 from what I've read. Across the map you'll see an abundance of them. But in these Merlin Trials there is only 9 different types. There is the flaming pots, the stone pillars, the square symbol blocks, large rolling stone, moth moonstone pillars, piles of stone balls, broken statues, stone ball targets, and finally a stone jumping puzzle. So today we're going to be looking at all 9 of them and just giving you the type of how to do them. They are all exactly the same, even though every time you go to a different one, if for instance you find the flaming pots in, say, 15 of them out of the 95, they could all be in different locations. So it isn't necessarily how hard the individual types are, because all of them are the same in that aspect, but it is where to locate them. So with the flaming pots, all you've got to do is there will be 3 pillars with a pot on top. You can use either Confringo or Incendio. Obviously Confringo is going to be a little bit better because they are spread out, and what you've got to do with this, as you'll see in the video representation, is you've got to light all 3 before they go down. If you light all 3, you will see a complete trial at the top right. This is the standard for every single trial as well. If you are to complete it in a way that you should or know that it works, if for instance you get 4 out of the 3 whatever in whatever statue that we've got, you will not see the complete. As soon as you see the complete, it means you have finished the trial. If you only see 2 flaming pots and you do both and it doesn't complete, it means there is a third, and I'd pretty say 100% of the time there is going to be 3 on the flaming pots. If we look at the stone pillars, these are a pretty standard. They are needing to be broken. So what you've got to do is Confringo or any of the Accio or anything like that will break them, and you've just got to break them. Revelio will highlight these spots as well, especially if you have the mastery of Revelio. That can be somewhat useful for this because it does spread a larger field, and sometimes they can be hidden. I would suggest a lot of these times to do it in the daytime because you should be able to see a lot easier. There might be opponents around them as well, but it is as simple as breaking each spot. Again, they can vary in amount with these. It isn't necessarily a standard 3, 4, 5. There can be a few different discrepancies depending on which one you're on. Square symbol blocks, one of the ones that is not necessarily difficult, but you've got to make sure that all of the stones are identical. I believe, again, there should only be 3, but there, again, could be more for this specific task. When you go up to the stones, as you will see in the video, I personally didn't notice straight away. I just went with the same pattern, but what you've got to be able to do is do it exactly. So, for instance, you'll see one that is a square with some circles coming off it, and you have an arrow. That arrow has got to be identical to the bottom right. And also, the best way to know if you have completed one statue of this is it will grow vines. So obviously, if you've completed it, you can do flipendo from the side, from the front, from the back, and it will change how it flips and how it lands in there. So once you've found it and got the pattern correct, the vines should pop up. All you've got to do then is complete it for the other 3, and Bob's your uncle. That one is as standard as that one. We then have the large rolling stone. This one requires a little bit of a kind of look around. If you kind of go onto your Merlin's trial and don't see anything straight away, personally I always use the broom, just have a little survey of the area, and you should see a big hole, a small hole. There can be again a discrepancy between the 2. Obviously then, if you see the hole, you know there is a circular block somewhere. This one doesn't, I believe, come with Revelio, so you have just got to spot it. And I would say at least 8 of the 10 times when I've looked at these spots, they normally are up a hill or up the level. Rather than going down, they tend to be up, because you can sometimes roll them straight into the hole, again, depending on which one you're doing. This one can be done with Depulso if you want to push it into the platform, or obviously Wingardium Leviosa will manage you to go through. You can obviously carry it down a mountain if you really wanted to, or just push it and then meet it halfway down and just continuously do that. Once you've got it in the hole, again, it is as simple as that. That is that one done, and you'll see the completion of that one. We then have the Moth Moonstone pillars. This one, again, is a standard of 3 pillars, and the normal way to see this is they tend to be relatively close to the Merlin trial. You don't normally have to go finding for these too much. There was one that was down a mountain, but you saw the first one from the Merlin trial, and then you know we've got to go and find the moths. They are normally kind of like a bluey green, kind of like a turquoise. They highlight, and there's quite a few of them in a clutters. You will normally find 3 piles of them spread out across where the next one is. And what you've got to do for this one is, as a standard, if you've used butterflies before in the story mode, Lumos will lure the butterflies to your wand. You've then just got to displace them into the pillar. Once again, you've done all 3. That one should complete and be a standard. Then we've got the piles of stone balls. This one, again, was a little bit annoying. I've only seen it once so far, but I know there is a few of them to be done. Basically, with this one, you'll see 3 or 4 different pillars with a 4 stone hole in them. What you've got to do for that is go and find, again, the stone balls. I don't believe these can be, I think they can be Revelio'd, but you have to be a little bit closer to them than your standard. So, for instance, with this, you'll see the ground and you'll see the 4 stone balls. Then go and find the balls. Wingardium Leviosa, Accio, whatever you want to do to kind of lift them up in the air. Wingardium Leviosa will be your best shout for this, and plop them in the hole. Again, once you have finished all 3, you will see the completion of that one being complete, and it is as standard as that. Broken statue, a standard one with this one. We've saw this one a couple of times, and literally you will see it straight away just drop to the ground as you go into the Merlin trial. All you've got to do for that is Reparo. There's normally 3 to 4 statues again, and that one is an easy one. That one is really, really easy. Then the stone ball targets. Again, this one's a standard, but there is more than 3. There tends to be quite a few that you've got to break. Basic cast, Confringo, anything like that will break these statues, and you can just continue until you have finished it. Very much with this one, you know when you've got none left, because it won't have finished until you've done all of them. So again, if you've done 5 or 6 of them and it's still not complete, it means there is one near. With this one as well, they normally follow a pattern. It tends to be a circle or a path forward, and you normally just got to kind of navigate yourself round, and it is a pretty standard to find all of these. Break them, finish it off. That one's a job good 'un. And finally, the stone jumping puzzle. And there's actually 2 ways to get this done, funnily enough. I kind of came across it without even really realizing it. So with this one, you will see pillars, and normally, again, if you go the Merlin trial, you don't see anything going on. Check for these pillars, because what you'll do, if you stand on it, it will give you vines. The basic way to get this done is you have got to go from one pillar to the other until you finish it, and once you hit that last pillar, so all pillars have got vines on them, you will get the completion of the trial. You don't have to jump off, and the big thing with this is if you do the first pillar and fall off, you've got to restart it. This is only without falling. Now, the extra little bonus way, which I'll show you in the clip, is you can do this on a broom. As long as you touch it on the broom and don't touch anything else on the floor or another part that is not the pillar, it will actually count. So you technically don't even have to jump, which, again, I don't know if that's going to be easy for some of them, or it's just creating yourself a more of a problem. But some of them are very easy to do on, obviously, foot, but predominantly most of them will be absolutely fine with a broom. And that is all 9 sets of Merlin trials. Let me know how many you've completed. We should be able to get a video up of all 95 trials in the next day or 2, so stay tuned for that. If you want to like and subscribe and wait for that to be finished, I'll show you all the locations of everything. Make sure you like and subscribe on this though, and I catch you all for the next one. Peace.